Deep inside the body, hidden from the mirror and the weighing scale, there is a type of fat that silently damages health every single day. This fat wraps itself around vital organs like the liver, pancreas, and heart. It fuels inflammation, it disrupts hormones, it raises blood sugar. It increases the risk of diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, stroke, and even cognitive decline. The most dangerous part is this fat often grows even when body weight looks normal. A flat stomach does not always mean a healthy body. And today, science shows that one simple daily habit may help reduce this hidden threat faster than most people realize. In this video, you will learn how a single cup of a common drink, taken the right way, can activate fat-burning pathways deep inside the body and target visceral fat where it matters most. This is not based on trends or opinions. It is supported by real research, biological mechanisms, and clinical findings that many people never hear about. You will understand what visceral fat really is, why it is far more dangerous than surface belly fat, and how it quietly drives chronic disease, even in people who eat less or exercise sometimes. You will also learn why this specific drink works at a cellular level, how it affects metabolism, insulin response, and fat oxidation, and why timing and consistency matter more than quantity. Toward the end of the video, you will discover how to use this habit safely, how to avoid common mistakes that cancel its benefits, and how small daily actions can compound into powerful long-term results. This information can change how you think about fat loss forever, because it focuses on health first, not just appearance. Stay with us till the end, because the final part explains why most fat loss methods fail against visceral fat and how this one cup fits into a smarter science-backed strategy that works with your body instead of against it. Welcome to the channel where we break down complex health science into simple, practical knowledge you can actually use. If you want more evidence-based tips that protect your body from the inside out, make sure to subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what you learn here could protect your health for years to come. Visceral fat is not the fat you can pinch with your fingers or see in the mirror. It sits deep inside the abdomen, wrapped tightly around organs like the liver, intestines, pancreas, and even near the heart. This fat is active tissue, not just stored energy. It constantly releases chemicals and signals into the bloodstream. These signals increase inflammation throughout the body. They interfere with how insulin works. They disturb normal hormone balance. This is why visceral fat is closely linked to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, fatty liver disease, and certain brain disorders. What makes it more dangerous is that many people carry high levels of visceral fat without looking overweight. A person can have a normal body weight and still have a high amount of this deep fat. That is why waist size, blood sugar levels, and triglycerides often tell a more important story than the number on the scale. Visceral fat behaves differently from the fat under the skin. Subcutaneous fat mainly stores energy. Visceral fat actively drives disease. It sends fatty acids straight to the liver, forcing the liver to produce more glucose and harmful cholesterol particles. Over time, this creates insulin resistance, where cells stop responding properly to insulin. Blood sugar rises, fat storage increases, energy levels drop. The body enters a cycle that becomes harder to break with age. This is why targeting visceral fat is not about looking slimmer. It is about protecting organs and restoring metabolic health at the deepest level. The challenge with visceral fat is that it does not respond well to extreme dieting or short bursts of exercise. Crash diets often slow metabolism and increase stress hormones, which can actually preserve visceral fat. Long workouts without proper recovery can raise cortisol, a hormone that encourages fat storage around the abdomen. This is why science has shifted focus toward metabolic support rather than calorie punishment. Researchers now study how certain compounds affect fat cells directly, especially those buried deep inside the body. This brings us to the idea of one simple daily habit, not a supplement stack, not an extreme protocol, just one cup of a specific drink that interacts with the body's natural fat burning systems. This drink does not work by starving the body. It works by signaling the body to use stored fat more efficiently, especially the fat that causes the most harm. The science behind this one cup begins at the cellular level. Inside fat cells, there are enzymes that control whether fat is stored or released. There are also mitochondria, which act like tiny power plants that burn fuel to produce energy. Certain natural compounds can gently increase the activity of these systems. When metabolism rises slightly but consistently, the body burns more fat throughout the day without triggering stress responses. Fat oxidation increases, meaning fat is broken down and used for energy instead of being recycled back into storage. At the same time, antioxidant compounds reduce inflammation, which improves insulin sensitivity. When insulin sensitivity improves, the body becomes better at directing nutrients into muscles instead of fat tissue. Blood sugar levels stabilize, hunger signals become more balanced, energy becomes steadier. These effects are small on their own, but when repeated daily, they compound in powerful ways. This is where the main drink comes in. It is not rare. It is not expensive. It has been consumed for centuries, yet its effects on visceral fat are still underestimated. This drink contains a unique combination of bioactive compounds that work together rather than alone. Unlike plain water, which hydrates but does not actively change metabolic signaling, this drink interacts with fat cells, liver enzymes, and the nervous system. It gently stimulates thermogenesis, the process by which the body produces heat and burns calories. It also supports the breakdown of fat molecules into usable energy. This happens without causing spikes in heart rate or blood pressure when consumed in moderate amounts. The effect is subtle but measurable, which is exactly what makes it sustainable. The drink is green tea. What makes green tea special is not just caffeine, but the specific plant compounds it carries. The most studied of these is a catechin called EGCG. This compound influences how fat cells behave. EGCG helps block an enzyme that normally breaks down norepinephrine, a hormone involved in fat burning. When norepinephrine stays active longer, fat cells receive a stronger signal to release stored fat. This effect is especially important for visceral fat, which is more sensitive to hormonal signals than subcutaneous fat. EGCG also activates pathways involved in fat oxidation, pushing the body to use fat as fuel even at rest. This does not mean fat melts overnight. It means the environment inside the body shifts toward gradual fat loss where it matters most. Caffeine in green tea plays a supporting role. It is present in lower amounts than coffee, which is important. High caffeine spikes can raise stress hormones and disrupt sleep, both of which promote visceral fat storage. The moderate caffeine in green tea works differently. It increases alertness and energy slightly while enhancing the effects of catechins. Together, caffeine and catechins increase metabolic rate for several hours after consumption. This means the body burns more calories without conscious effort over time. This contributes to a reduction in deep fat stores. This combination is unique to green tea and is not replicated by caffeine alone. Scientific studies have repeatedly shown that regular green tea consumption is associated with reductions in visceral fat. In controlled trials, participants who consumed green tea or green tea extracts experienced greater decreases in abdominal fat compared to those who did not, even when diet and activity levels were similar. Imaging techniques used in these studies confirmed that the fat loss occurred deep inside the abdomen, not just under the skin. This distinction matters because many weight loss methods reduce surface fat while leaving visceral fat largely unchanged. green tea stands out because it affects fat metabolism at a deeper level. The way green tea works is also linked to insulin sensitivity. Visceral fat thrives in environments where insulin is high and cells are resistant to its effects. Green tea compounds help improve how cells respond to insulin. When insulin works properly, the body needs less of it to manage blood sugar. Lower insulin levels signal the body to stop storing fat and start releasing it. This shift is critical for reducing visceral fat. Improved insulin sensitivity also reduces cravings and energy crashes, making it easier to maintain healthy habits without constant willpower. Another important aspect is inflammation. Visceral fat releases inflammatory molecules that damage blood vessels and organs. Chronic inflammation makes fat loss harder and disease more likely. Green tea contains antioxidants that neutralize free radicals and reduce inflammatory signaling. This creates a healthier internal environment where fat breakdown can occur more easily. Reduced inflammation also supports liver health, which plays a central role in fat metabolism. A healthier liver processes fats more efficiently and prevents excess fat from being redirected back into storage. Compared to water, green tea offers active metabolic benefits. Water is essential for life and supports digestion, circulation, and detoxification, but it does not directly influence fat-burning pathways. Green tea does. Compared to sugary drinks, fruit juices, and flavored beverages, green tea does the opposite of promoting visceral fat. Sugary drinks cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin. Excess sugar is quickly converted into fat, much of which ends up stored around organs. Liquid calories are especially dangerous because they bypass normal satiety signals. Green tea contains no sugar and no calories when consumed plain, yet it delivers compounds that actively counter the mechanisms that create visceral fat. Green tea also fits naturally into daily routines. It does not require drastic changes. It does not disrupt meals. It can be consumed warm or cold. This consistency is key because visceral fat responds best to steady long-term signals rather than extreme interventions. Each cup reinforces the same metabolic message to the body: burn a little more fat, store a little less, reduce inflammation, improve insulin response. Over weeks and months, these signals add up. This is why populations that regularly consume green tea tend to have lower rates of metabolic disease, even when overall calorie intake is similar. Another lesser-known effect of green tea is its influence on gut bacteria. The gut microbiome plays a role in how calories are absorbed and how fat is stored. Certain compounds in green tea support the growth of beneficial bacteria linked to improved metabolic health. A healthier gut environment further reduces inflammation and improves energy balance. This indirect pathway adds another layer to how green tea supports visceral fat reduction. It is important to understand that green tea is not a shortcut that overrides poor lifestyle choices. It works best as part of a balanced pattern. However, unlike many health trends, its effects are rooted in biology, not hype. It does not force the body into unnatural states. It gently nudges natural systems in a healthier direction. This is why it can be consumed daily without causing rebound effects or metabolic slowdown. Green tea also avoids many pitfalls of fat-burning supplements. Supplements often contain high doses of stimulants that stress the nervous system and elevate cortisol. Chronic cortisol elevation is strongly linked to visceral fat accumulation. Green tea's balanced profile avoids this problem. Its effects are calming and supportive rather than aggressive. This makes it suitable for long-term use, which is exactly what visceral fat reduction requires. When comparing green tea to other beverages marketed for weight loss, the difference becomes clear. Many drinks rely on artificial ingredients, sweeteners, or extreme stimulant levels. These may produce short-term changes on the scale, but do little to address deep fat around organs. Green tea works quietly and consistently. It aligns with the body's natural rhythms. It supports metabolic health rather than fighting against it. This is why 1 cup of green tea stands out as a simple but powerful tool. It addresses visceral fat through multiple pathways at once. Fat oxidation increases. Insulin sensitivity improves. Inflammation decreases. Metabolic rate rises slightly but steadily. These changes are subtle enough to be sustainable and strong enough to matter over time. This combination is rare and is what gives green tea its unique place in metabolic health science. As the body adapts to these signals, it becomes more efficient at using stored fat for energy. The liver processes fats more effectively. Muscles become better at absorbing glucose. Hormonal balance improves. These changes reduce the conditions that allow visceral fat to thrive. Instead of fighting fat with restriction and stress, the body is guided toward balance and efficiency. This is why replacing even one daily beverage with green tea can create meaningful changes beneath the surface. It is not about dramatic weight loss. It is about shifting the internal environment away from disease and toward health. Over time, this shift shows up in better blood markers, improved energy, and a gradual reduction in the most dangerous type of fat in the body. Drinking green tea the right way matters more than most people think, because small details can decide whether it gently supports fat loss or becomes just another warm drink. Timing is one of the most important factors. Green tea works best when consumed earlier in the day or between meals, when insulin levels are lower and the body is more open to burning fat for energy. Drinking it in the morning after waking up and hydrating with plain water allows its compounds to interact with metabolism as the body transitions into an active state. Another effective time is mid-afternoon when energy naturally dips and cravings often rise. At this point, green tea can provide a mild lift without overstimulating the nervous system. Drinking it very late at night is not ideal for many people because even small amounts of caffeine can interfere with sleep, and poor sleep directly increases visceral fat storage. Consistency matters more than perfect timing, but aligning intake with the body's natural rhythms makes the effect more reliable. Brew strength also plays a role. Green tea does not need to be extremely strong to be effective. In fact, overly strong brews can taste bitter and discourage regular use. A moderate brew, using 1 tea bag or about 1 teaspoon of loose leaves in hot but not boiling water, is enough to extract beneficial compounds without damaging them. Water that is too hot can destroy delicate catechins, reducing their effectiveness. Allowing the tea to steep for 2 to 3 minutes is usually sufficient. Longer steeping increases bitterness and caffeine without adding much benefit. The goal is not intensity but balance. A drink that is pleasant is more likely to become a daily habit, and daily repetition is what drives long-term results. One of the most critical rules is avoiding added sugar, honey, syrups, or sweetened creamers. Adding sugar triggers an insulin response that directly counteracts the fat-burning effects of green tea. High insulin levels signal the body to store fat, especially visceral fat. Even small amounts of sugar can blunt the metabolic benefits. Artificial sweeteners are also not ideal, as they may disrupt insulin signaling and gut bacteria in some people. Drinking green tea plain preserves its natural ability to support fat oxidation and insulin sensitivity. Over time, taste preferences adapt, and the natural flavor becomes more enjoyable. Lemon can be added if desired, as it does not raise insulin and may even help preserve antioxidants, but sweetness should be avoided to maintain the drink's purpose. When looking at what research actually says, it is important to separate realistic evidence from exaggerated claims. Green tea is not presented in scientific literature as a miracle cure or a rapid fat melting solution. Instead, it is described as a supportive factor that produces small but meaningful changes when used consistently. Clinical trials have shown that people who regularly consume green tea experience modest reductions in visceral fat compared to those who do not, especially when combined with a stable diet and normal activity. Meta-analyses that review multiple studies generally conclude that green tea has a measurable but moderate effect on body fat distribution, with a stronger impact on abdominal and visceral fat than on overall weight loss. This distinction is important because losing visceral fat improves health outcomes even when total body weight does not change dramatically. The scientific consensus recognizes that green tea works through known biological mechanisms rather than speculation. Increased fat oxidation, slight increases in energy expenditure, improved insulin sensitivity, and reduced inflammation are consistently observed effects. Researchers also note that individual responses vary. Genetics, baseline diet, caffeine sensitivity, and gut microbiome composition all influence how strongly a person responds. This is why green tea works better as part of a long-term lifestyle rather than as a short-term intervention. The evidence is not hype, but it is also not exaggerated. It sits in the category of safe, low-risk habits that gently push metabolism in a healthier direction over time. Another point highlighted in research is safety. Green tea consumed in normal amounts is considered safe for most people. Unlike aggressive fat-burning supplements, it does not overload the liver or overstimulate the heart when consumed responsibly. This safety profile is one reason it appears repeatedly in scientific discussions about metabolic health. Researchers value interventions that can be sustained without causing harm, because sustainability is essential for reducing visceral fat, which accumulates slowly and is lost slowly. The effects of green tea become more noticeable when supported by a few basic habits. A balanced diet that prioritizes whole foods creates an internal environment where green tea can work more effectively. Excess refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods raise insulin and inflammation, making visceral fat harder to access. When meals include adequate protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates, insulin responses become smoother and fat oxidation improves. This does not require extreme restriction. It requires consistency in food choices that support metabolic stability. Daily movement amplifies the effects of green tea as well. This does not mean intense workouts or long gym sessions. Simple activities like walking, light resistance training, or stretching increase insulin sensitivity and encourage fat utilization. Movement helps muscles absorb glucose, reducing the burden on insulin and lowering the chance that excess energy will be stored as visceral fat. When green tea is consumed alongside regular movement, the combined effect is stronger than either habit alone. Fiber-rich foods also play an important role. Vegetables, fruits, and legumes slow digestion, reduce blood sugar spikes, and support gut health. Foods like spinach provide micronutrients and antioxidants that reduce inflammation. Blueberries and similar fruits offer polyphenols that work alongside green tea catechins, creating a broader antioxidant effect. This synergy supports liver function and fat metabolism. Fiber also increases satiety, making it easier to maintain balanced eating patterns without constant hunger. Hydration should not be overlooked. While green tea contributes to fluid intake, plain water remains essential. Adequate hydration supports circulation, digestion, and metabolic processes. When the body is dehydrated, fat metabolism slows and stress hormones increase. Drinking water throughout the day creates a stable foundation on which green tea can exert its effects more efficiently. Sleep quality is another factor that silently influences visceral fat. Poor sleep disrupts hunger hormones, increases cortisol, and promotes fat storage around the abdomen. While green tea is not a sleep aid, avoiding it too late in the day protects sleep quality. Good sleep enhances insulin sensitivity and fat oxidation, reinforcing the benefits of daily green tea intake. Stress management also matters. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which strongly promotes visceral fat accumulation. Green tea contains compounds that have mild calming effects on the nervous system, especially when consumed mindfully. Pairing green tea with brief moments of relaxation can indirectly support fat loss by reducing stress-related hormonal signals. Over time, these small habits align to create a metabolic environment that does not favor visceral fat storage. 1 cup of green tea each day acts as a signal rather than a force. It tells the body to shift slightly toward burning rather than storing. When that signal is repeated daily, supported by balanced eating, movement, and recovery, the results accumulate beneath the surface. The takeaway from this approach is not urgency, but patience. Visceral fat did not accumulate overnight, and it does not disappear instantly. What matters is direction. 1 daily cup of green tea moves the body in a healthier direction. It is simple enough to maintain, safe enough for long-term use, and supported by scientific understanding rather than marketing claims. Over weeks and months, this quiet habit contributes to meaningful changes in metabolic health, reducing the most dangerous type of fat in the body while supporting overall well-being.
Reducing visceral fat does not require extreme diets or complicated routines.
Sometimes the most powerful changes come from simple habits done every day. 1 cup of green tea may look small, but over time it can support fat burning deep inside the body, protect vital organs, and improve overall metabolic health. The key is consistency, patience, and doing it the right way. If this made sense to you, start today. Try drinking green tea daily and pay attention to how your body responds over the next few weeks. If you've already tried it, share your experience in the comments so others can learn from you. And if you want more science-backed tips explained in a clear and simple way, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps you protect your health from the inside out.